Welcome to our true crime journey. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling story of the Zodiac Killer, one of the most terrifying, unsolved mysteries in American history. Over 50 years have passed, but the fear and fascination with this cryptic killer remain as strong as ever. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to never miss another dive into the world of true crime. Let's unravel the mystery together. California, 1968, a time of freedom, peace, and dreams. But that peace was shattered by a terrifying unknown presence. A killer, calling himself the Zodiac, began a reign of terror that still haunts California's history. Unlike typical killers, he left clues and taunted his pursuers. The story begins on a quiet night, December 20th, 1968. Two high school sweethearts, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, go out on a date. They're parked along a quiet road, a peaceful spot known as Lover's Lane in Benicia. But the calm ends suddenly in a storm of gunshots. Betty Lou and David are found dead. The scene is brutal and mysterious, leaving the police with no motive, no leads, and no suspect. The fear starts to spread, and whispers of a possible serial killer begin. Just months later, on July 4th, 1969, the terror continues. This time in Vallejo, not far from Benicia, another young couple, Darlene Farron and Michael Mageau, parks at Blue Rock Springs. Suddenly, a figure approaches the car and begins firing at them without warning. Darlene is killed instantly, but Michael, though gravely injured, survives. Through his pain, he recalls a chilling detail. He caught a glimpse of the shooter, a man with a heavy-set build, short hair, and cold, calculating eyes. Police note these details but are left puzzled by the randomness. The brutality and lack of motive make the police suspect this is no ordinary murder. The pattern is beginning to reveal itself, and law enforcement realizes they may be dealing with a killer who is both cruel and cunning. Later that month, the terror grows darker as newspapers across the Bay Area receive letters. Each one is marked with a strange symbol, a circle with a cross through it. The letters open with the chilling words, "This is the Zodiac speaking." The letters contain detailed descriptions of the murders of Betty Lou, David, Darlene, and Michael. Details that only the killer could know. But that's not all. The Zodiac includes something else, a cryptic code known as the 408 cipher. In this cipher, Zodiac claims to have hidden his true motive and his twisted beliefs. The letters demand that each newspaper publish the cipher on their front page, or he will kill again. The media faces a terrifying choice, one that captures the attention of the entire state. The three-part cipher stumps everyone at first, but soon, a high school teacher named Donald Harden and his wife Betty managed to crack it. The decoded message is chilling. It reads, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The message compares killing humans to hunting animals, revealing a mind that finds pleasure in terrorizing others. But there's a twist. The code ends without a name or identity, leaving a haunting mystery in its wake. The public is horrified, and the police realize they're dealing with someone far more disturbing than they could have imagined. The Zodiac has shown that he is intelligent, manipulative, and more than willing to play games with human lives. On September 27th, 1969, the Zodiac strikes again. This time, he targets college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, who are picnicking by the shores of Lake Berryessa in Napa County. The serene setting quickly turns sinister. The killer approaches them wearing a black executioner's hood, complete with the circle and cross symbols stitched on his chest. He binds both of them, ties them up, and then stabs them mercilessly before fleeing. It's a brutal attack, and one that shocks even seasoned investigators. Brian survives, though wounded, and provides a description of the killer's appearance and demeanor. Cecilia, however, does not survive, adding to the list of the Zodiac's victims. The killer calls the police himself, tauntingly reporting the attack. Just weeks later, on October 11th, 1969, the Zodiac kills again, this time targeting a cab driver named Paul Stein in San Francisco. This murder feels different. It's in the city, in a public area. Paul is shot at close range in his cab. Three young witnesses see the killer wiping down the cab and calmly walking away. They report it to the police, who arrive just minutes too late. A bloody fingerprint is found on the cab, but the killer himself is gone. The police create a composite sketch from the witness descriptions. It shows a man with short hair, glasses, and an unsettlingly ordinary face. The mystery of the Zodiac deepens as he moves from isolated lovers' lanes to busy city streets. The Zodiac's letters become bolder, mocking the police for their inability to catch him. He claims to be responsible for several unsolved murders, though authorities question the truth behind these boasts. evidence. In one of his letters, the Zodiac includes a piece of Paul Stine's bloody shirt as proof that he was responsible for the cab driver's murder. This detail horrifies both the public and the police. The letters grow stranger and more disturbing, with the Zodiac claiming he is collecting slaves for the afterlife. He also starts sending more cryptic symbols, fueling speculation and fear across California. The pressure on law enforcement mounts. The San Francisco Police Department, along with nearby jurisdictions, are bombarded with tips and sightings, each promising to lead to the Zodiac's capture. But none of these tips lead to the killer. The lack of forensic technology and resources makes catching the Zodiac nearly impossible. Frustration builds among officers as they chase down every possible lead. As more time passes, fear and frustration spill into the community. With no suspect, people start locking their doors and avoiding isolated areas, living in fear of a killer who seems to be everywhere and nowhere at once. Detectives pore over every detail, hoping to find a breakthrough. They examine crime scenes, analyze letters, and try to find patterns in the Zodiac's taunts. But the Zodiac is a master at hiding in plain sight. Even handwriting experts are called in to examine his letters. They hope to find some clue in the way he writes, but nothing conclusive emerges. The Zodiac's writing style is erratic, further adding to his elusive persona. In an attempt to understand the killer's psychology, the police consult criminologists and psychologists, but the Zodiac's actions defy any typical pattern, leaving them with few options and a mystery that only grows more complex. The Zodiac sends a new cipher to the press, the 340 cipher, more complex and cryptic than the previous one. He claims it contains information that will reveal his identity. It becomes the ultimate puzzle, one that will baffle experts for decades. This cipher is published in the hope that anyone, can crack it. Cryptographers, puzzle enthusiasts, and even the public try their hand, but none succeed. The message remains hidden, a secret locked away by the Zodiac's mind. The Zodiac continues to claim that solving the code will reveal his true identity, yet it seems he has designed it to be unsolvable. It's a cruel game that keeps the police and the public guessing. After Paul Stine's murder, the city of San Francisco is on high alert. The police double down on their efforts to catch the Zodiac, focusing on the evidence left behind. The bloody fingerprint on Stine's cab is analyzed, and they go through hundreds of tips and leads. Witnesses who saw the Zodiac that night help create a police sketch that circulates widely. The composite shows a man with a round face, short hair, and dark-rimmed glasses. The Zodiac's appearance is shockingly average, adding a disturbing layer to the mystery. Despite this intense manhunt, the Zodiac seems to vanish into the shadows. Months go by with no new attacks, but no one feels safe. The city is still on edge, waiting for the next terrifying letter or another crime. Throughout his letters, the Zodiac claims he's responsible for several other murders that remain unsolved to this day. He writes about killing people in distant areas, suggesting he's more widespread than anyone initially realized. Police investigate these claims, looking for possible connections to unsolved cases, but evidence remains elusive. For some, it's hard to tell where the Zodiac's truth ends and his lies begin. Still, every unsolved murder in California casts a longer shadow as he taunts from afar. The public is haunted by the idea that there could be more victims out there. Some families of missing persons begin to wonder if their loved ones might have crossed paths with the Zodiac, deepening the community's fear and paranoia. The Zodiac resumes his letter-writing campaign, but now his taunts are stranger and more cryptic. He writes in a way that suggests he's enjoying the spotlight and toying with the media. His letters are riddled with bizarre claims, leaving both the police and the public baffled. In one letter, the Zodiac sends a diagram of a bomb he claims to have planted in a school bus, adding a chilling new dimension to his threats. Law enforcement mobilizes to search for any sign of the bomb, but none is found, leaving them on edge, unsure of what to believe. The Zodiac's threats against children and families terrify parents across the Bay Area. His words alone create waves of fear, showing that he can control the public's emotions with just a few lines on a page. It's psychological warfare at its most ruthless. The letters, the unsolved murders, and the lack of a clear pattern put a tremendous strain on local police departments. Each letter adds pressure on officers who are already overwhelmed with leads and suspects. The Zodiac case has become an obsession for many. Detectives work around the clock, trying to profile the killer and gather any clue that might lead to his capture. Every detail, no matter how small, is examined in hopes of cracking the case. Yet the Zodiac seems to always be a step ahead. The frustration is palpable as officers find themselves without any tangible progress. No amount of manpower or resources can bring them closer to the truth, and with every unsolved letter, the Zodiac's shadow looms larger over the entire region. In 1971, police zero in on a potential suspect, Arthur Lee Allen. Allen had a history of disturbing behavior, lived near many of the crime scenes, and even owned a Zodiac brand watch, which bore the killer's circle and cross symbol. Allen's background aligns with some of the Zodiac's known habits and patterns. Police search his trailer, hoping to find physical evidence that links him to the crimes, but nothing definitive surfaces, only adding to the mystery. Although the case against Allen is circumstantial, many officers believe he might be the killer. However, DNA tests on the Zodiac letters later do not match Allen's, keeping the mystery alive and leaving them back at square one. In 2020, over 50 years after it was sent, a team of code breakers finally cracks the 340 cipher, one of the Zodiac's most notorious puzzles. The message is dark and disturbing, but reveals nothing about his identity. The decrypted message states, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me," showing the Zodiac's pride in evading capture. It reinforces his enjoyment of the game and his desire to remain hidden and feared. The breakthrough brings renewed attention to the case, and people wonder if there could be more secrets hidden within the Zodiac's remaining letters and codes. But despite this victory, the killer's identity remains elusive. Over the years, other suspects emerge, each with varying degrees of evidence linking them to the Zodiac. Lawrence Kane, a man with a troubled past and violent tendencies, is one suspect. He lived near some of the crime scenes and resembled the police sketch. Another possible suspect is Ross Sullivan, who worked at a library frequented by one of the Zodiac's victims. He reportedly exhibited strange behavior and had a fixation on cryptic codes. However, like Kane, the evidence is inconclusive. These suspects fuel endless speculation, but each lead eventually fizzles out, adding to the Zodiac's mystique. The lack of conclusive evidence keeps his identity just out of reach, frustrating both law enforcement and the public. The Zodiac Killer becomes a fixture in pop culture, inspiring books, movies, and songs. The killer's cryptic codes, eerie letters, and unsolved mystery captivate audiences, making him a dark legend in American history. Movies like Dirty Harry and books like Robert Graysmith's Zodiac spread the story to a global audience. Graysmith's own research and theories about the killer gain widespread attention, making him one of the most well-known Zodiac investigators. As fascination with the Zodiac grows, so does the public's desire for answers. True crime enthusiasts, amateur sleuths, and online communities pore over every detail, determined to solve the mystery that has haunted California for decades. By the 1980s, the Zodiac case goes cold. Leads dry up, witnesses move on, and evidence is stored away. Many officers who once worked on the case retire, taking their own theories and suspicions with them. Despite the lack of new information, interest in the Zodiac never fully fades. Local newspapers and true crime enthusiasts continue to speculate about his identity, keeping the legend alive even as the case itself gathers dust. For the families of the victims, closure remains elusive. They continue to seek justice, hoping that one day someone will find the key to unlock the mystery of the Zodiac. With advances in DNA technology, there is renewed hope that the Zodiac might finally be identified. Authorities revisit the case, testing evidence for any remaining DNA that might reveal the killer's identity. The letters are analyzed for skin cells, saliva, or anything that could contain the Zodiac's DNA. The process is meticulous and time-consuming, but for the first time, there's hope that science could succeed where traditional methods have failed. But as tests come back, the results are inconclusive. No definitive DNA profile can be extracted from the evidence, keeping the mystery alive and frustrating investigators who once again find themselves without answers. With the dawn of the internet, amateur sleuths begin to pore over every available detail of the Zodiac case. Online forums, discussion boards, and social media explode with theories and possible clues as people share information and ideas. In these digital spaces, enthusiasts debate everything from the killer's identity to the exact meaning behind his ciphers and taunting letters. Some internet sleuths claim to have found new suspects, while others even try to decode remaining messages using modern techniques. This online obsession fuels a renewed wave of interest in the case, bringing fresh eyes to old clues and attracting people from around the world. Though some hope to finally solve the case, others simply want to understand the mind behind one of history's most puzzling criminals. With advanced forensic techniques and DNA testing, law enforcement and independent researchers alike revisit physical evidence from the Zodiac crime scenes. The hope is that a new scientific breakthrough might hold the key to solving the case. The FBI and independent labs examine items like stamps, stamps, envelope seals, and fingerprints for anything usable. But despite multiple rounds of testing, the results are inconclusive or insufficient to yield a match to any known individual. The advances in forensic science provide glimmers of hope, but the Zodiac case remains frustratingly elusive. Each promising lead ends up adding to the layers of mystery, leaving both professionals and hobbyists puzzled. Over the years, theories about the Zodiac's identity range from plausible to bizarre. Some believe he was a disgruntled military veteran, given his knowledge of ciphers, while others speculate he may have been a mentally ill recluse living off the grid. Popular books and movies about the Zodiac further fuel public fascination. Some theorists even suggest he had a network of accomplices, though evidence for this is scarce. Others believe he may have simply left California and started a new life elsewhere. The varied and sometimes conflicting theories only deepen the mystery. Law enforcement holds to the belief that the killer acted alone, but the lack of any definitive answer leaves room for endless speculation, making the Zodiac an enduring enigma. Through all the years of investigation and speculation, it's the victims' families who carry the heaviest burden. They continue to live with the pain of loss, knowing that justice remains out of reach and that the killer may never be brought to account. Memorials, both physical and digital, are made to honor the Zodiac's victims. Each name, each story is remembered by loved ones and the public alike, as people pay tribute to the lives that were taken too soon and without warning. For these families, the mystery and the public fascination with the Zodiac can feel like a double-edged sword. While the case remains a cultural phenomenon, for them it's a personal tragedy, and they continue to hold out hope for closure and peace. As decades pass, the Zodiac remains a haunting legend in American history, a symbol of unsolved mystery, terror, and fascination. True crime enthusiasts, detectives, and amateur sleuths still examine the case, hoping one day to find the missing pieces. The Zodiac Killer's methods, his ciphers, and his taunting letters have cemented his place in criminal history. His case has changed how law enforcement handles investigations, and his terrifying legacy has inspired countless works in books, films, and TV. In the end, the Zodiac remains more than just an unsolved case. He's a chilling reminder of the dark depths of human nature, a puzzle that may never be solved, and a mystery that still captivates and horrifies people around the world. Over 50 years have passed since the Zodiac Killer haunted California, and still his identity remains unknown. From coded letters to chilling crimes, his legacy is a puzzle, a challenge that has spanned generations. Perhaps one day science or a chance discovery will finally reveal the truth. Until then, the Zodiac Killer remains a shadow in the pages of history, a mystery whose answer lies just out of reach. And that's the story of the Zodiac Killer, a haunting puzzle that even after decades remains unsolved. This case reminds us of the darkest depths of human nature and the relentless pursuit of truth. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to explore more true crime mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next case.